Hello, welcome back. This is how to install Linux Mint, the latest version 20.3, from the beginning, from getting it to making an installer to installing it. And yeah, I may go past that just a tad, but not much. So the first thing you want to do is get a copy of Linux Mint. It's referred to as an ISO. Don't ask me what that stands for. But it's a raw data image that you can create into an installer and then install from it. So the first thing you want to do is go to the official linuxmint.com website. Then you're going to want to download, and you're going to pick your edition. This is new to me. I haven't really played with it. If you have a really new machine, give it a try. The XFCE edition for very low resource machines that want to run Mint, Mate, kind of halfway between XFCE and the flagship, Cinnamon. So you'll just download it, click on download, it'll say either go directly to your download or however you have it set up in Windows. And because I'm assuming if you're brand new, you're on Windows or Mac, and this is going to assume that you're coming from the Windows world mostly, but it also applies to the Mac world. So you download it. I don't need to download it again or make you sit here and watch me download it. And now, the second file thing you need to get is you need to get a way to put it on a USB and make it bootable. There are three good methods. Rufus, which is unique to Windows, and I don't have a Windows machine running, so I can't show it to you. Ventoy, which in my opinion is the absolute best way because it allows you to have multiple ISOs on a single bootable USB. And then, again, I don't have a Windows machine, so I will make one showing how to install Ventoy on Linux, but I can't show how to set up a Ventoy USB on Windows. Take a look at it. It may be really straightforward and easy to do. I come to this one, which is extremely reliable. Do not use unit bootin. Do not use unit bootin. Belina Etcher is extremely reliable, and you don't even actually need to install it. So this will show the choices here. Etcher for Linux x64 for the 32-bit, for Windows 64-bit, for Windows Portable. That's probably the best one because you're probably going to just get an exe file that you launch, and I don't know how often you're going to be doing this if you want to install it into Windows. And then there's Etcher for Mac OS, which I have no clue about. I've never done it, but I can only assume, because it's a BSD system, which is Unix-like, that it's going to work exactly as you're going to see it work here. Okay, so that's that's the two full. And again, you need to make sure you're going to Balena.io / etcher, as that's the official. Okay, what else? That's it. That's what you need to go get. Now, once I have those two, I'm going to launch Balena Etcher, and you're going to flash from a file. I'm going to go on down here to Linux Mint 20. You probably won't have as many different ISOs as I do, but there's a Linux Mint Cinnamon. I'm going to open that. I'm going to select the target. It's got my USB stick. 8 gig is more than enough. And click that so it's selected. Select. Okay. And then flash. Probably don't need this password on Windows. Okay. And now it's going to do its thing. And it's going to take a while to do its thing. It's going to take about 7 minutes to write it, and I think another 3 to 5 minutes to validate it. And I'm just going to put this to the side and let it do it so I can show you what it looks like when it's finished in a few minutes. But now every machine is different on how you get it to boot to that USB. F12 is the most common. Some machines use DEL. Some machines use DEL, ESC, F1, F2. However your machine lets you get to pick the USB to boot from it, that's what you do. And then that screen just prior to this comes up. I should have made it so it wouldn't automatically boot up like it did, but whatever, you saw what the screen looks like. I just picked the top one, and away we go. It's up and running. Now, before I install it, I'm going to prep the drive. Yes, you could use erase all. Yes, you could use alongside, although that one always makes me nervous, alongside Windows if you're planning to do this as a dual boot. But I think it's better to be hands-on. Come on. Why are you not running? Oh, because I can't type. So run gparted. Now, there's a VM. I only got 40 gigabytes. I'm going to make do with that. I think you need a minimum of 64 to install it. Now, let's pretend that this unallocated space is space that you freed up from that you freed up from I'm sorry, I got really distracted by the AC coming on, and it threw me off what I was thinking about for some reason, even though it does it all the time. And yes, that's the background noise you'll hear sometimes. It's 99 outside, and so my AC kicks on. So either from a whole new drive or from an unallocated space that you've freed up from Windows using their partition manager. You cannot use GPARD to shrink a Windows partition. You'll mess it up. So you must go into Windows, use partition manager, and when you exit Windows, make sure you hold the shift key while clicking shutdown. That turns off fast boot. And because fast boot in Windows is a hybrid that does a combination of hibernate and something else, but it locks the drive and it'll cause you heartburn. And yeah, I'm going to have all the comments, oh, it works just fine for me. Well, I'm glad it works just fine for you, but I've talked to dozens of people it didn't work just fine for. And I personally, it doesn't work just fine for. So, this is a brand new drive. You do not and should not do this on just a section that you're doing. And it'll probably be GPT, assuming your Windows was installed as a UEFI. Now, first thing I'm going to do is make a small FAT32, which is used for the EFI. It's used for the bootloader. Typically grub in Linux situation. It does not have to be very big. Why am I making it 150? Because Windows defaults to 100. So if you're on a Windows machine, you'll see two EFIs. Make them slightly different sizes. That one will probably be 100. Make this one 150. 100 would do the job, but make it 150, and we're going to call this a FAT32. We're not going to call it anything. We're going to format it as a FAT32. And then we're going to add that. Then I'm going to add a Linux swap. Linux swap is more than a RAM overflow device. It's also used by Linux to enable efficient paging of unused pages. Kind of stick a little couple megabyte file off that it's seen it hasn't used for a while. And we're going to make this the Linux swap. There are other ways to do swap, but I'm sticking with this one to show this one for now. This is the most common way. We're going to add that. Now, I typically like 32, roughly 32 gigabytes. You can go down to about 20, but you're not going to be able to add a lot of programs. And if you have issues, you may have problems with logs filling up. You keep this as an ext4. And then I'm just going to use the rest. this is going to be where home goes. Yes, because we're going to use, it is good practice to have your root file system and your /home, which is where all your personal files and program settings, as you set your own program settings. I'm going to pause here real quick and bring this over. This is what it looks like when it's done. It says flash complete, flash another, or just close it. Alright, so we're back to this, and I have other videos that show more extensive formatting for Linux and getting it set up. I'm going to apply this. Okay. So this is ready to go, or is it? It's not. You have to go to this FAT32 and you have to manage flags. If you're going to do this on a UEFI system, you want to click ESP, and it's going to also click boot. And then you just close it and the flags are set. And that's where the Grub bootloader is going to go. But it can also go, we're going to go manage flags, and this time we're going to say BIOS grub. This is the way to do GPT on a legacy machine. This is going to boot as BIOS in this VM. I'm not familiar enough with how to make it be UEFI, so I'm not going to pretend and show that, because it'll look exactly the same UEFI or BIOS with just these flags being different. Okay, I can close that, and now we're going to install Linux Mint. Okay, pick your language, pick your keyboard. I'm going to skip this for now, install multimedia codecs. One, because I don't have a very large drive, and secondly, I want to show you how you can do it afterwards anyways. After you've installed, you can go back and do this. And if you're planning to watch videos either on DVD or streaming videos or torrented videos, you download it, you want to run on VLC, you're going to need these codecs. Oh, I'm not going to do it here. You can. Okay. Alright. Erase the whole drive, install Linux Mint. You can do that. It's not going to have the separate /home. And it may also come with an alongside Windows option. Obviously, there's nothing to go alongside, so I don't have a choice. I'm going to use something else. This is what I recommend, but it's your choice. Continue. Now it's going to look up the drive and see what we got here. We just need it going to the correct drive. That doesn't have to say VDA 1, 2, 3, or 4. You just want the drive name, VDA. Now we're going to go down here to this first ext4, and I'm going to make this, I'm going to use this as a ext. I always format it even though it was just formatted, it doesn't matter, doesn't hurt nothing. Okay, mount point slash, that's going to be the root file system. The root and the file, it's different than slash root, different than slash boot, slash. We're going to say OK. Okay. Now we're going to go down to this other one, right click, change. We also make this an ext4, but this time we're going to make slash home as the mount point. Oh yeah. Oh, format, don't format. I'm going to format because I know there's nothing else there, but if you ever have to reinstall Linux because the OS got corrupted somehow, you don't want to overwrite your home. You want to save all that. Just don't format the partition. That little box. And you can even upgrade that way to a newer version of Linux. And not of Linux, of Linux Mint in particular. There are other ones you can keep that same home for, but that's a whole separate discussion. If you're switching from, say, Linux Mint to an Arch base like Manjaro, you don't want to keep the same home. You're going to want to format that, so you better have good backups. Okay, so I'm going to say OK. Alright. That's ready to go. Did I forget to format that? I guess so. So I just clicked on that box and now it says format. Okay. Ready to install now. Okay. Continue. Continue. Put in your username. If you use the OEM install, this is not done until the first time it comes up. Okay, I want it to log in automatically. I'm going to say continue. And now it's going to start doing its thing. Actually, if you noticed in the background, it was doing its thing. It was just it doesn't need the user ID, the new user, to start working. So it actually started working in the background. Alright. I'm going to pause here because this is going to take a few minutes. We'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. And when it's done installing, it comes to this. Restart now. Click on Restart Now. Please remove the installation meeting. We'll pull that USB out if you got one in. Okay, welcome to Linux Mint. This, check your video drivers. This only happens on Cinnamon on a VM. Does not happen on bare metal. At least I've never run into it. Welcome to Linux Mint. First steps. Okay, I don't like the order they have this in. It's not more important to set up your panel and your system and all that, update manager, driver manager, because you really want to do update manager first. And the reason you want it to do update manager first is you want it to update the cache of the programs in the repositories before you do the others. You want the newest multimedia codecs and the newest drivers, and system snapshots. That's probably should be done right after the update manager, because if it messes up, reinstall it. But once you get it, if it messes up from this very first update, then yeah, reinstall it. Something went wrong. But that doesn't happen. I've not seen it happen, but I'm just saying. Okay. So we launch that. We say okay. Okay. It's got a new update manager version. So let's apply that update. Again, it wants my password, and this is a security thing. This is what makes Linux a bit more secure than Windows, and can be a slight pain, but I'm willing to live with it. Alright, so now we have all this that needs to be updated, and that 20.3 is only a few days old, but that's pretty typical. That's pretty typical that right after you install Linux, there's a bunch of updates. But this is not Windows. This is not gonna suck your machine dry and take forever, or take forever to restart. You don't even normally need to restart. We will here because it's updating kernels and intra MFS, I believe, as well. So it's doing a whole bunch of core updates, so we will need to restart, but you're going to see how it's a whole lot quicker. Now, there's a lot of updates. I'm not going to make you sit here for the 2 more minutes to download and then another few minutes to install. Take a look at this time here. It's 6:09. When we come back, you'll see about how long it took that way. So it's about to go from downloading everything it needs to installing it. Okay, and now it's installing it. Details, and there's what you'll see it running in this sudo terminal. Again, we're going to pause. No need to make you sit through this. Looks like it's just about done. So we started at 18. See this right here, generating grub configuration file? That's what tells you we need to restart. It'll also tell you it needs to restart. Reboot required. But because it was making a new grub means there was probably a new kernel. And that's one of the few times you actually have to reboot. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to make it sit through a restart, just so I can show you this ain't Windows. Okay, so it's restarting. And there it is. No 20%, 30% boo 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 BBB crap. And I think that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you need to see additional beyond this, but as you can see, this is very easy to update, management, clickable. You didn't see me use the terminal, did I? Nope. No need to use the terminal. Most of what you need to do in Linux Mint, you won't need to use a terminal. And just don't listen to all those Linux elitists. Oh my God, you got to use the terminal. If you're not using the terminal, you're not using Linux. Nah, you don't. You're using Linux. Are you learning Linux? No. You're using it, but if you want to learn Linux rather than just use a different OS than Windows, an alternative to Windows, not a replacement, you're not going to be able to do everything you did on Windows. Just like you can't do everything on Windows that you can do on Linux or on Android or on Mac. They're different OSs. Anyways, please like and subscribe and comment, especially if you have ideas of something else you'd like to see, either on this or a different distro or anything in this area. Thank you very much. That's it for today. Bye-bye.